Hello, welcome back to a special edition to the Homeroom Podcast, and today we're gonna do something special, which we are doing video broadcast, and then later we're going to post it on our networks on Spotify as well.
Hey guys.
So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about. This week we're going to just talk about different like AP exams, how we're taking just a quick rant about everything, possibly complain to College Board a little bit as well, and also just talk about different disciplines as well. So today we're gonna start off this week by talking about STEM, just math, science, technology, computer science, other sciences as well. So feel free to enter the post below, so I can see like how you guys took your AP exams this year, what subjects. Secretly possible. I am not secretly plotting to overthrow the College Board. What if I am the College Board?
Should probably introduce ourselves first, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you go ahead, Peter.
Hold on. Let me respond to something.
Cool.
Let's talk about the biological sciences, environmental science, and AP Bio. So I didn't take them this year, but I took them in the past. But did any of you guys take it this year? Biology and environmental science, and who wants to come up on stage?
Yeah, we're inviting people on screen if you'd like to. Try to be not inflammatory. That'd be fantastic because if you just do the classic come on screen and say something offensive, you're probably gonna ruin the experience for everyone else, and no one wants that. So,
And we have the right to ban you from the stream.
yeah. Thanks, by the way, for the compliment on my voice. I've been told I have a lot of, I've been told I have the commentator voice, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, you really do have the commentator voice. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So do you got so what so what's the so I see that most people either took a version of either took bio.
Nope, his stream first. um. Okay, so the top two we have are stats and bio. So I took stats. I didn't take bio, even though I do bio heavy research. I know Peter also took bio. So, yeah, we can talk about stats first while Peter's screen is frozen. I'll let him know in our chat real quick. So, does anyone want to be invited on for stats? Anyone that took the exam, or anyone that has any past experience with the class? Okay. I can't add you on screen, actually. Only Peter can, and Peter's absent. That sucks. Okay. So I'm gonna introduce myself formally while Peter's gone. So my name's Jacob. I'm a rising third year physics student at Clemson. The cram sessions for a cram session for calculus, which was great. But basically, my kind of there you are, Brandon.
Hello. I don't know how I got invited up because Peter's back.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hello. You guys hear me?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna give away the introduction. So I am a physics major in college, right? So my research is very bio heavy, and consequently is also very chemistry heavy. So That's why I was invited on this podcast, so I can hang in at pretty much any STEM conversation we have in here.
Fun.
And I don't know where Peter went, but Peter's probably formally introduced himself.
I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Brandon. Y'all might have seen. Whoa, my mic like randomly muted. And now okay. I have no idea what's happening right now, but I took a bunch of fun STEM courses this year because I've never taken a science AP because I didn't take physics 1 because that would have been crazy or last year. So I took calc last year, I took stats this year, and I took bio this year. And bio is like the AP class as a whole is just significantly better than physics 1 in my opinion. I don't know. I probably would have taken physics C if I could have, but yeah. Why is bio better than physics 1? I don't know. I think that's subjective. I just had a better bio teacher. My physics 1 teacher left in December, and then we had to have another teacher fill in, and it was just a whole mess. And I just think conceptually speaking, bio just makes a little bit more sense for me. Also because we take like bio freshman year, so then whenever you take it again a second year, it's a lot easier in terms of like the learning curve. Also, can y'all hear me? Because like Peter's like camera keeps like going out. Like I I swear like my webcam and my voice just like disappeared. It's crazy. How does easy make it better? I mean, better is like a completely subjective word, right? I think like people can have their own personal opinions on certain AP subjects. And for me, it was just a class that made more sense to me. I guess that's what it means to me. And like
I have a really good take on this kind of thing here because there's a really big issue with like students liking bio more than physics because it's not for the right reasons. And so math education in the US kind of sucks, right? I think that's a good starting ground to go off because a lot of people agree with that. So like when you go into a physics class and you're immediately assumed a lot of knowledge of math that people already have a rough background in anyways, you're spending a lot of time focusing on the math and not the physics. So people just don't like physics in that sense. Even if it is very concept based in physics 1, you're still struggling if you don't have a good mathematical foundation. But with bio, there's not that barrier. And a lot of people really appreciate that there's not that barrier because you're just learning bio and pretty much straight bio. Maybe there's some stats you have to learn and some data analysis, but a lot of people really don't have to jump over that extra barrier like they have to with physics.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just like, it just depends on kind of, I think I think that's really why you take like those APs way later on, whether that's like, you know, your sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, because you kind of get a grasp as to like what you enjoy. I know like a lot of people take environmental science over physics at my school, at least as seniors. I don't know. It just kind of depends.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. But I'm honestly more of a physics person than a biology person because I honestly can see the concepts better, and I'm also a more mathematically inclined person. While in biology, it's like a lot more memorization at the same. It's a lot more memorization at the same time. So it's in AP Environmental Science. It's a lot more memorization, but honestly, it's still solid classes to learn as well. Yeah, physics. Yeah. I agree. Physics is definitely not for everyone. It is hard because I love physics, but it was probably my hardest AP. It's the hardest AP test I've taken.
Yeah, I bet. Like those, I remember like doing practice long FRQs last year in physics, even though I wasn't taking the AP exam, and I was like, oh, this is fun. And like I can't imagine how like people are doing on like mechanics and E&M and M. So like it's insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing to note that you do have to go ahead, Peter. Actually,
and honestly, this year with like them cutting it down to 2 FRQs, like I honestly don't know how I would do on that one because like last year I still had the multiple choice section to like help me, because I know I'd almost completely butchered the FRQs last year for physics.
I think I really enjoyed the physics aspects of calculus, actually, weirdly enough, because I was taking both at the same time. So it's like, even though physics 1 is like completely algebra based, it just made a little bit more sense to have like kind of a calculus background, which is why I think I would have like probably enjoyed physics C more than physics 1. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But I think like comparatively, since I had like a little bit of background in bio, whether that's like, unit 1 and 2, which is like elements, and like chemistry, which is also stuff I worked on like sophomore year. So it wasn't incredibly horrible. I don't know.
Someone fired shots and said no one enjoys physics C. I love physics C, actually. That was a great exam. But yeah, physics C has calculus in it, and the great thing about calculus and physics is that it allows you to explore a lot more physics in depth. Quite literally, calculus was invented. This is debate whether it was Newton or Leibniz, but it was very debated on whether calculus was specifically made to aid physics or not. So it's very important in the sense that it allows you to explore way deeper in the concepts. Like with physics 1, you can't really analyze any situation truly rigorously if there's a non-constant acceleration. So it's kind of great in that way. And also because of that, the physics C exam has a completely different approach to the algebra-based one. The algebra-based one is you really have to like type so many or like write so many words and read so much. And there was a great YouTuber called Andrew Dotson, and he's a PhD physics student, and one of his funny quotes is like, write an equation, you could write a few paragraphs, because they essentially do say the same thing. Someone said, what were the concepts in calc that you're able to apply to physics C? Everything.
Yeah,
literally everything in physics C can use calculus, and everything that you learn in calculus can be applied to physics C in some way, shape, or form. Like even something as simple as like a Taylor series that you learn in BC, that's what the main kinematic equation is for displacement, is a Taylor series.
Yeah, and definitely for simple harmonic motion, and also forces as well. Like there's a lot of integration, separable differential equations, differentiation. Like you apply. So basically, you apply everything from calculus A, B, and B, C, and D, and it's just it goes way into depth in physics C. Like all the applications, you can derive so much, and then you can actually understand where everything comes from. And for physics C, like you can take this at the same time as calculus, and taking it without calculus is, I know it's hard, but I know some friends who've done it. It's doable, but it's almost impossible. And
one thing is that you just have really bad foundations if you try and take physics C without any calculus at all. Because I know a lot of people that like did fine, but they had really like a lot of holes in their knowledge that would have just been simply filled up if they just took a calculus class, which is, I think it's essential, honestly, if you really want to go further with it.
By the way, Leibniz was the true creator of calculus.
Yeah, we could have a huge debate about this, and I don't want to fight you because I'm right.
I mean, Leibniz, like his way of studying calculus is so much better. Like you will learn if you learn more physics and math, you will learn why Leibniz is right.
All right, someone wants to get doxed on live stream. Your address in the chat, Peter, in about 5 minutes.
Yikes.
Okay, it's 1234 street lane at city in California, USA. Zip code 95111.
Oh no. Bad idea. That's going right on Spotify. Okay, yeah.
That's definitely a real address.
How many parts was physics this year? 1 or C, because I see that we have people who've taken both. Anyone knows.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Leibniz is still better. Did anyone take Chem, by the way, this year?
Got 7 friends who may or may not still be here. 10 parts. Oh, that's just so exciting.
Ouch.
Yeah, no, I think people take physics 2 and physics C, like they self-study for C while being in the physics 2 class. I think that's how that works. I don't even know. We don't have that many kids.
Yeah, I had to self-study physics C on my own because our school doesn't offer any AP science classes.
I self-studied it as well. It wasn't it. It honestly, like, I got a lot of like weirdly like pedestal like compliments for it, and honestly, like I literally straight up didn't fill out an entire FRQ on one of my exams and still got a 5.
Yeah,
Because you can literally get like 60% of the points and still get a 5. You get like a third of the points and you pass the exam. It's kind of ridiculous.
yeah, like we joke all the time about the physics. We joke all the time about the physics C curves, but like the curves are high for a reason. It's because it's really, really hard.
Yeah. I have the someone sent me pictures of the exam while they were taking it. Oh, it was scandalous. And the physics CE and M1 was honestly not that bad. It looks like it went down to part F. And mechanics for this one went down to part E. Also, they gave you all a parallel springs question. That sucks.
Ouch! I honestly, we had to do parallel springs in differential equations. That was not fun.
No, yeah, we had to do that in DiffyQ as well. But someone said college physics is harder though, like college mechanics. So there's there's a lot more nuance in that. So the physics C curriculum, I don't think it parallels well with college mechanics curriculum. So the issue is that the physics C exam is catered to students that want to go further into physical sciences like chemistry and physics, but the actual college mechanics class, it's mostly engineering students taking it, not in the physical sciences. So a lot of the engineering or a lot of the mechanics classes in college are a lot more focused on real numbers and real data analysis and real life applications like bridges and structures and engines, because there is thermodynamics in that sequence in college, but not in physics C. But physics C is more focused on derivations, learning about fundamental principles and all that other stuff. So a big thing that you'll see in like a college mechanics class is you'll just see like a crazy amount of numbers, which I think is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You said which one's harder? You can't really quantify that. Like they really are very, very different. Whether like one is a lot more mathematical. The physics C in high school is a lot more mathematical, because the one in college is much more plug and chug. I think physics C was harder than, well, I didn't take it, but I just see my friend's homework for that class last semester and the semester before. But I see physics C as harder just because it's more mathematically intensive.
I found so the story is that I took physics C mechanics. I self-studied physics C mechanics in junior year, and then the summer after I took a college E&M class. And basically in E&M, basically I took E&M in college is definitely all derivation based. Like there's almost no numbers at all. Like everything's just a bunch of letters and variables.
You had a different experience than my friends did. They had like crazy circuits with like really weird like resistance values, and like it was I did not like seeing their homework because I was like, dude, I don't want to go through that. Like that's a full page of just like arithmetic.
I just finished high school actually yesterday on Friday actually, so I'm officially a high school graduate. Yay!
Yeah, I love stats. Answering Harris' question in the chat.
I also really appreciate stats until I had a creepy teacher in college that ruined it for me.
Yeah. Yes. Stats. I'm sort of angry. The stats credits doesn't really apply to where I'm going, but I honestly love my stats class. Like it is probably one of the most applicable classes I'll ever use in probably what I would do.
Exactly. And I honestly appreciate that I learned like both calculus and stats, because I know most people at our school like either do one or the other. But I think having like a grasp of both is like pretty useful because it gives you kind of like application across like humanities, social sciences, STEM, and like because you can apply like calc and stats in a lot of different places.
Stats really gets underrepresented in for people that want to go into CS. So there's a whole new marketable thing called machine learning where you essentially feed real life data to an algorithm and an algorithm spits out a model for you. And like it's crazy like profitable. It's super useful in finance and physical sciences. There's a whole new branch of neuroscience that's very focused on machine learning. So if you really like want to go into industry, like stats is just a great class. But the problem is the stats credit that you earn for AP is often the same stats that like the that like people take in college for a gen ed requirement. So if your major actually needs stats, it's more often than not you'd have to retake it, which is what I had to do.
Yeah,
But it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, I have to retake stats for my major as well. And yeah, I do agree because so many people in our school just take stats to avoid calculus just because they think calculus is harder.
Yeah.
And then after that they get wrecked.
Should I take pre-calc or stats for a bio major? So if you take pre-cal, that leads to calculus, right? So the great thing about taking calculus in high school, if you're a bio major, is that you don't have to take it in college because college calculus is way harder than AP. But stats would be useful. However, like I mentioned before, if your major actually needs a stats class, it's more than likely the stats class in your major is different from the stats class you'd get credit for by taking the AP exam. So pre-cal, if you can take calculus your senior year, but I'd say stats if it's going to be your senior year and you can never take AP. How hard is college calc versus calc BC? Way harder.
Way harder, yeah.
Literally way harder. Like you learn a lot more material in college calc. The hardest material that's in college calc is completely cut out of the BC curriculum, like trig sub. And like you see like crazy. I've had to like straight up do my friends' college 2 calc or college calc 2 quizzes because there are crazy integrals on there that like you can't do unless you've seen them before. And the only reason I've seen them before is because I'm a genius, because I'm just a nerd.
Yes. In our school, we never had trig sub in our school for calc BC. So like I had to learn it. I had to learn it for myself before I took higher classes. Yeah, trig is important in calc, but it's not as important. It's not as important in AP calc. It's not as important as it's supposed to be because in college calc is really important. It's really important for trig. Calc 2, which is BC calc, is the hardest calc. Calc 2 is the hardest calc in my opinion. Some people say calc 3 is harder, but there's discussion on that. Let's just say.
Someone said, is calc 3 hard? I thought calc 3 was easier than calc 2. I thought my calc 3 class was easier than BC. But I also had the best calc 3 teacher in the school. Yeah. Someone said there's calc 3. Yeah, it's literally just it's multivariable. Yeah, it's calculus in 3 dimensions. So everything you learned in calc 1, you do in 3 dimensions. There are some multivariable topics that are from calc 2. Like you can do a multivariable Taylor series, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, you can go to calc 3 with the BC. Yeah, there's also vector calc towards the end.
Yeah, vector value functions from calc BC are actually part of calc 3 actually, because I know that. Yeah. So you've already had a taste of it. So hold on. And then AB calc. We are leaving out the underclassmen. High level discussions. You'll get there eventually with those discussions. Let's just say that. So high level history is.
Oh, dude, that brings memories back.
High level history. The OG 5.0 is high level history.
Yeah, I bought that first when Amanda did that one of those first like HLA streams, and she was like, "Yeah, I mean, if you buy a membership now, then you'll get a lifetime membership." And I did that, and don't regret it at all.
Do you actually have a lifetime membership?
Dang.
I guess I
Yeah.
I haven't had to repay for anything, so
Yeah. So basically, high level history was basically 5 before it was 5. So basically, 2 years ago, it all 5 was just history, and I think human geography. I'm not sure. Someone correct me on that. And
I
then
think so.
and then the year after, then we really went into other subjects. Dylan is the oldest one though. Dylan was the
Yeah.
first. Yeah, Dylan was the first one.
I think history is tomorrow, so you'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah. You'll see Dylan tomorrow. So
you'll get to make fun of him for liking economics tomorrow.
Ooh.
Oop.
That's a good pastime of mine.
Yeah.
Social sciences are on Wednesday, I think, and then it's
Right.
English and capstone, and then it's I think visual and performing arts, right? So art history and music theory, right? I think that's it.
And the studio art, you can't forget.
Oh yeah, sorry, studio arts. There's like an AP drawing, right? I think that's what it's called because there's 2D, 3D. I might be wrong on this. Someone who does art in the chat, you can correct me because I have no idea. Because my school only offers studio art. I don't even know which one.
Our school basically does it where it's studio art, but you can choose which one you want to take, 2D, 3D, or drawing. You could submit more of you.
Got it.
Speaking of Dylan, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but Brandon, I think Dylan doesn't like you because he wants us to kick you off and put someone new on the screen.
I know, I heard.
6:30.
But y'all need to reply. Like this is like not 100% my fault. Do any of y'all want to join the screen?
Anyone?
Oh, look at that! All right,
sure. Awesome.
I'll see y'all now.
Yeah. Okay. Let me add our next victim to the stream.
Victim.
Does anyone else want to join? Let's see the chat.
We already have 2. I don't think we should put it any higher than 2.
I think we can because our max is 4 people, so we can.
Yeah.
I know.
Any more than 2 would be like crazy chaotic.
Yeah.
All right, Lee's on, and then
Perla, I'm inviting as well. So. Hello.
I want to see Dylan.
What do you mean,
Yep.
victim? Dylan is Dylan in the chat. Let me see if Dylan is.
I think Dylan is, but I don't think Dylan wants to be on. All right. Oh, now Peter lost connection. So what STEM did you all take? Either of you can go first.
I took AP Chemistry, and it was interesting.
Oh, a fellow nerd. Let's see. All right. How was your experience with that? Because I love that class.
Well, I hated the class, mostly because my teacher was horrible at teaching it. I learned more from the 5-hour cram stream than I ever did in that class, which is something I've been hearing from a lot of people, is that they learn more from the cram stream than they ever did from the class. But when I took the exam, I was like, wait a minute. I know this stuff, and I only know this stuff because of the cram stream, and B, the other unit review crams. So I was like, hey, I passed because of 5-able, hopefully.
Yeah, that exam is rough for a lot of people. I don't know why I personally thought that the exam, because I took it not this year but last year, I personally thought it was pretty easy. But I also think a lot of other stuff that everyone else finds easy is really hard. I can't change a tire, and I also got a 70 in AP Euro. So,
oh man, AP Euro is the best.
Love AP.
Yeah. AP. I honestly don't know. AP Euro was my second favorite history. AP World will always be the OG.
All right, and what about you, Perla? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I took AP Calc and Chem, but I kind of agree with like the whole my class personally was really good for chemistry, so I loved it. And like at least the cram session though, it really helped me remember because I forgot so much. But like honestly, I feel like for me it's kind of like I was really good at like the last stuff that everybody struggles with, and really bad at like all of like the first stuff you learn that everybody's really good at. So like when we did the streams, I was just like reviewing all the old stuff, like all the new stuff. Everybody was like, "Help, help!" and I was like, "No, go back."
Are we talking
Did you
about
watch
Chem?
the calc cram session?
Yeah, I went to the calc one too. That one was good. I liked it
Oh,
too.
thank you for the compliments.
Yeah, you guys did really
He was
good.
the
You guys
he
did
was the
really good.
host.
Oh, I got trolled in chat that day, so I'm happy someone enjoyed it.
No, okay. One thing that really like got me mad on the test is like my teacher always said like, no matter what, you're gonna get a point for plus C and separate the variables.
Yeah,
Neither
that's
of those guaranteed points was on my test.
there was a slope field though, right?
Yeah, there was a slope field, and you guys covered that too. So I was like, thanks.
No,
thanks.
okay, so literally like I was so happy that happened because like a lot of people like when I started going over slope fields, like a lot of people were like crapping on me in the chat because they were like, no, we can't they can't expect us to draw a slope field. And I was like,
You can still interpret
like yeah, and that happened. And I was like, oh great. That felt great. That was a little victory in my heart.
Okay, meanwhile there was the gram session was going on. I was also working on this gram. I was trying to cram the gram sheet in because apparently everyone wanted to have the gram sheet. So I was just like trying to type the gram sheet so rapidly, and I was like debating whether to put slope fields on there. I was like, will College Board put this on the exam? I was like, and I just put like one short footnote on it just in case.
Hold on, I'll be right back. My parents are yelling at me even though I told them I'm doing that.
Oops.
Yeah, the College Board will give you a wild card for what's on the test. Like my AP Chem, since evidently we're allowed to talk about them now, my AP Chem had like, I don't even remember the name of the graph because I learned it just for the test and then forgot everything. But it went from like weird hard stuff to balancing a chemical equation, which I did in 10th grade and in 7th grade. So it's like, why is this college level chemistry? That was my last question on the second question. I was like, oh, hopefully I do this right because I actually know this part.
Yeah, there
College
was
level chem is weird like that.
I could never get Lewis diagrams for chem.
Oh,
like,
no.
Like, don't even get me started on resonance structures. I was
Oh
just
my
like,
gosh.
no.
See, when we barely covered those in class, we just went over the exceptions. So we had to do like a resonance structure that was a weird one that broke the octet rule with xenon and oxygen and fluorine. I was like, what's going on? This isn't teaching us anything.
Yeah, no. And like in my class personally, we never went over like absorbance and all like that. Like we went over it like very barely. And like I didn't get that question, but my friend did, and I felt so bad. I was like,
I got
oh
that
my
one.
gosh, I'm so sorry.
I think that was the absorbance graph that I don't remember the fancy name for.
Someone's crapping on chem laws. So here's the great thing is that there are unifying rules of chemistry. The problem is the unifying rules of chemistry are crazy complicated because chemistry is really a fundamentally just physics, but with a lot of different things interacting in different ways. So, like, when you say so many exceptions in chemistry and say it's so stupid, the reality is there are laws and unifying rules of chemistry, but they're so beyond what people really need to know to apply chemistry to anything. Like, you're not going to have to know the equation or the Schrodinger equation solution for a hydrogen atom if you're just like making a prosthetic. So there's a lot of it's purely for pedagogical reasons and also to actually teach you what's useful, and the exceptions are useful because the exceptions do matter on a macroscopic scale.
Just like English.
Yeah.
And I also know that college chem is also but way harder than just AP chem because I know they teach a bunch of quantum stuff, and then also like they also teach molecular orbitals and weird hybridizations in like d orbital hybridization for some reason.
Yeah, well, the quantum stuff in chem and college chem is like just quantum numbers. Like it's honestly not it's just a lot of like weird things that like are very abstract. You don't really know what they mean. But one thing with AP Chem is I think it really doesn't prepare you for upper level chemistry. I breezed through AP Chem, finished class in 96, and then had to get my grade rounded to a 70 in organic. So it's kind of like an issue with AP Chem is that it's very math heavy when it shouldn't be. You should not be able to turn to math for every concept like I was able to, because that doesn't prepare you for college level chemistry, or at least for organic. It'll prepare you for physical chemistry very well.
That's actually something that my teacher, at least my teacher, really emphasized, where she was like forget about the math. Like, we did the math and we went over it and we got it, but she was like, forget about the math. This is concept. Like, this year is concept. Like, she was like literally just like drilling concepts into our head the whole year. Like, our tests were like, they were like math, but it was really simple and it wasn't like math based. She was like, you have to explain it to me. I'm not giving you any credit whatsoever. So when it came to the test, I felt really good that it was an FRQ because she had done that all year. So I got kind of lucky on that account. Yeah.
No, that's definitely a great way to prepare you for college or college level organic chemistry, because I was the opposite of prepared. That class sucked for me.
Yeah, even if I end up getting college credit from AP Chem, I'm not going to take it because I don't remember anything from this year, and putting me in a 200 level chemistry class in my freshman year is it's just not a good idea.
Org was actually not that bad. It's just the actual class was kind of a manifestation of everything that I'm bad at. So, you know, if you're actually like, for example, like if you took like AP Bio and thought it was easy, you'll probably think Org was easy in the same way. Someone said if you're majoring in STEM and take the science APs, should you still take the intro classes in college to get a good foundation? So I have also an unpopular opinion about this, because I think you should skip them if you can. Granted, with like care. So there's a lot of, like I mentioned, a lot of engineering students in physics 1 and 2, right? Mostly engineering students. And the class is ridiculously hard because we don't want engineers that build bad bridges. So you can still get concepts in like physics 1 and physics 2 very easily, or rather physics C would be the equivalent credit. You can get the concepts very well, but a lot of the physics 1 and 2 is very tedious work that you really need to just do a lot of just crazy not really arithmetic, but just like think about the stupidest things that you would never think of in the first place. Someone said, but then second year courses will be very tough for you. They weren't tough for me. I mean, straight up, like I thought my physics 3 class was easier than physics C. I thought my Calc 3 class was easier than BC. It's just those intro level science classes are weed out courses, and if you can, and if you're really confident about your fundamental knowledge in a subject, your GPA will give you a great giant hug when you don't have to take Calc 2.
Yeah, so Calc 2 and E&M are basically the hardest of basically GPA killers. Yeah. And then if you really want to know if you should take an AP class, if you should take the class or not, definitely check if your school has placement tests, and then like you should take them, because I know where I'm going, you couldn't take placement tests, but they allow you to use AP credit even if you don't pass the placement test. Although I wouldn't really advise it. I really wouldn't advise it because you may have gaps in the content. And E&M is GPA killer because you basically have to, because it's not really the calculus, it's more of the it's basically more of the concepts of applying the calculus, like knowing when. It's not about solving the integral, it's about setting up the integral. Like you have to basically set up the integral, and because E&M is electromagnetism, by the way.
I want to keep on talking about the whole skipping college classes, because I forgot a big point that I think. So a lot of people, when they take classes like E&M, they don't really have a strong foundation in vector calculus, because they never took vector calculus because that's not a high school class. So whenever they take a class like E&M and they pass it well, they more often than not pass it because they have a very good rhythm on solving the problems. A reason a lot of people struggle in classes that go after their AP classes is because they don't have a good foundation in their AP classes, even though they know how to solve the problems. And I think it's very important, or it's very obvious to a student if they have a very good foundational knowledge in what they're learning, rather than they just know the problem solving rhythm. And if you know the problem solving rhythm very well, I don't think you should skip anything. But if you have a good foundational understanding, I think it's definitely very possible and very recommendable to skip your classes if you pass the exams.
I think we have talked enough physics for the apes.
Come on, I'm having fun.
For the environmental science and stats people. Oh, by the way, stats is basically calculus. Stats is just calculus. It's just guys.
Huh, really interesting.
Stats is calculus in disguise.
I don't like that. I'm taking AP Stats next year. I don't like the sound of that because I took stats to not take Cal. What?
It's not like that. It's really not. He like it's it's really like everything that you wouldn't in calculus for boils down to something you do in a calculator, and it's really obvious. Like finding area under a curve, the calculator will do that for you.
Yeah, basically normal CDF and inverse norm are basically just calculus applications. But you don't need to learn it.
Ooh, sounds a little better, but still.
And then I was like in elementary school, my teachers like traumatized me with stats, with like at least statistics that was in elementary school. So I'm like, if that was hard for me, probably not gonna do AP.
Environmental science. Okay, so my word of environmental science. Environmental science, like, it's a really good. It's basically just an application of a lot of bio and chem, and I honestly love how it's so interdisciplinary, and also it's a really useful class if you want to be an environmental or civil engineer, and because it's really applicable and you can really understand how what's it called, how like people, it's like how people develop in like different cities, and how, and also like human behavior and as well, and it's just really an eye-opening class as well.
Bit of debate going on in the chat. Yeah, so we really we're not gonna encourage people like spiking down the difficulty of classes because it's really very subjective. I got 2 5s on Physics C, which some people think are the hardest classes in the world, and I got a 3 on APUSH and AP World, and some people think those are the easiest APs in the world. So, like,
wait, hold on. Can we bring Harrison on the screen?
Oh, that would be fun. Let's hear this. All right, Harrison for apes.
Who wants to who wants to volunteer to get off that? I can.
Here, I'll go off if you guys want. So, adios, amigos.
Bye, Pro. Thanks for joining.
Bye, Pro.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Okay, let me.
Also, there's like a whole like issue with just calling any subject hard or calling any subject easier and calling people that take it dumb, because like a big problem in science is inaccessibility, and the inaccessibility is mostly because people like to flex on the hard science classes they take. It's not supposed to be mean. Dude, you called someone dumb, like straight up, like that's just mean. Like I don't want to start an argument about it, but you called someone dumb and said that's not cool. Like whenever like you like say an exam is significantly easier than the other, or you call the whole group of people dumb, dude. Like, come on. But I'm gonna ignore what you're saying now and just go on what I was saying. The biggest issue in science is inaccessibility, and that starts because people like to flex more often than not their knowledge, and they just want to remind you they're in a hard science class, but they're not actually struggling. The people that always talked about how hard Physics C was, it's not passive aggressive. I'm being very aggressive. It's not passive. So like a lot of like people that took Physics C were very like, oh, I'm in Physics C. I'm struggling so hard, and they had like a 92. Like that's not struggling so hard. Like, come on.
Yeah, so. And outside of 5-1, I'm I'm also involved in like a whole bunch of like STEM outreach, and I know how bad the disparity is out there in STEM, and then like there really needs to be like an increase in people who take STEM, because like the outreach isn't there, and also like there's not really understanding as like, well, how science is. Like people just think that there's an easy science and a hard science, and and that some subjects are real sciences, but like that's definitely not true at all. Like, yeah.
Let's let Harrison take it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't take APES this year, but I did last year, so I guess that counts. But I did take stats this year, and I kind of have a hot take on that subject because Calc had like 12 parts on their first FRQ or something, and in a lot of other classes, there were a ton of like multiple parts, tons of different questions to answer. But in stats, there were 5 parts on my first FRQ, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Just 5?
Yeah, literally. I had like 5 or 6 parts on both of the FRQs, and I was like, how am I supposed to get points here? And like, I didn't even write that much for them. It was really just like all of them were describe one thing, and I was like,
Man,
how am I?
I'm trying to remember what Chem went to because I think it went like one of them went all the way to M, and I was like, that's too many. I'm not ever gonna finish this, and I didn't. I think I had to leave 1 or 2 blank. 5. How do you? You're right. How would you score that? How would you get points out of just 5 questions?
That's like a normal year.
Oh my gosh! I
I'm
guess
gonna
a lot
also
of
chat a little bit.
description.
Clarify that astrology is like the philosophy with zodiac and all of that stuff, but astronomy is the science of space and stars and stuff. So I think
Yes.
we have a little bit of a misunderstanding right there real quick that I
Yes.
wanted to clarify.
And
don't think it's-
astronomy
I
is
don't think it's-
definitely a lot of math,
Yeah.
so it's not the same as astrology.
Astrology got the cooler name because it was a thing first, though. That kind of pisses me off. Astrology sounds way cooler than astronomy does, and they got the cooler name for just staring at stars.
And I just typed in chat. Yeah, but yeah, I honestly like astrology is like philosophy is more of a humanity.
Science is a philosophy in its own. Science is a subset of philosophy, but the problem comes when you define what defines science within philosophy, because philosophy can be anything with logic, right?
Mhm.
Philosophy is you set up basically like a set of rules that everyone agrees with and derive things from there. But the thing about we're not arguing semantics. It's the definition of philosophy. Like
It gets
I'm not arguing
nuanced, but it
semantics.
is a definition.
But science is when you apply empiricism to establishing those initial rules, and then you, along with empiricism and observation and those initial rules, and those rules aren't like anything controversial. They're like things like 1 + 1 = 2, which is an axiom to number theory. Not an axiom, but it goes a little deeper than that. But like a science is a philosophy, like it's a philosophy that enacts empiricism. And when you say things like, well, then according to you, astrology is a science, to undermine the argument, that's not what they're saying at all. They're saying things that enact empiricism are science. Things that are typically crapped on, like psychology and the social sciences, sure, there's less empiricism than something like physics, but that because there's any empiricism at all, it's scientific, regardless of whether you want to believe it's scientific or not, because the reality is how the field progresses does not depend on your opinion.
I think any data collection or empiricism at all makes something a science, even if it's not inherently like physical world based like chem or like life science based. Even if it's on like a macro level, like stuff like sociology, it's still science because you're using data and trends and all that stuff.
And also, like science is basically something that we can something that we can definitely prove, and like it's like we can actually like use a
not necessarily like
yeah
like a lot of like we couldn't really like black holes and like Einstein's math was still science like 50 years ago, but we couldn't prove the existence of black holes back then because there's no experimental evidence to say anything about it, but because it came from a set of axioms that were gravitons are still undiscovered. You are right about that. So like a lot of things that we can't directly prove, they come from principles that have been proven, quote unquote, on the word proven, because there's always that p-value stuff that you have to deal with. But anything that comes from like the mathematics of things that have been observed before, I think. Well, science. I mentioned science is a philosophy.
Yeah.
Science is a subset of philosophy.
Honestly, I think philosophy is basically the mother of all other disciplines. Like they
No,
all,
it really is.
yeah, basically all other subjects like humanities, history, social sciences, and math. They all come down from that center philosophy. And I honestly think that science isn't really a group of subjects. It's basically more like a spectrum. It's basically more of a spectrum as well.
Like just because a stance is diplomatic and seeks to find a middle ground doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But like, yeah, I mean, like Plato and Galileo were philosophers at heart, and Galilean relativity was the thing that started the push to special and general relativity, which is why we know that that picture of the black hole was a real picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more, Tanya, you said I always thought the science was anything that involved asking the question why. That's more philosophy, but the science part comes in when you start gathering empirical data about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we get why involved in science when we talk about what are the rules and laws and theories? Earlier, we talked about the exceptions to all of the different rules in chemistry when we were talking about resonance structures.
Gross.
And then, so when we talk about the exceptions, that's what science is about, and that's why we learn them in the fundamental just AP intro classes that we would have in college, is because we have all these series of rules, laws, theories, and that's what science is built on. And it's about, just like Chris just said in the chat, it's about putting trust in the scientific method. If we have this theory, that's our hypothesis, and we can go down and prove that with evidence and we can draw conclusions, then that's what really makes it science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I would definitely agree with that as well. Wait.
Also, okay, so when we were talking about is philosophy science, is psychology science? So, I mean, you can really say that English is similar to psychology because they both deal with like this study of things. You can talk about how humanities are similar, but really like everything is its own because you can't just say biology, apes, and chemistry are the same things. And then you can't just say that, well, is psychology a science? Because before 2016, psychology was classified as an AP science. So, I mean, it's really just a really, really broad spectrum. And you can't just say this is a science, this is a math, because they all have overlapping themes. Because Unit 3 of AP Stats is collecting data, and that's all about finding a method, finding a way to collect your data, finding a way to, prove these things, because they all relate to each other, and they're not all the same.
Would you say that like observation is another important part of what makes a science? Because you have to have that observation in order to get the data to make the assumptions and back up your hypothesis with evidence and such?
I wouldn't say it's a prerequisite. Like,
yeah.
Again, we looked at I talked about the whole Einstein thing. Like, he did not observe
That's
general
true.
relativity in any way, shape, or form, yet it predicted the existence of both black holes, and it also explained the messed up orbit of Mercury that you couldn't predict with Newton's laws. So that was something that was pre-observational and pre-experimental, but that was still valid science. Like, I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time believing you if you went up to me and said with a straight face that psychology is more of a science than general relativity. I would honestly, I'd laugh.
Okay, I honestly have a take on psychology that it's sort of a science, but like there's some parts in which it's like not as scientific on the scale. But because Unit 1 in psychology is basically what Unit 3 in stats is. It's basically just all the collecting data stuff, experimentation, data analysis, median stuff. I just say scientific scale is because like I just say that like it's something a subject is like it's more based on like this scientific method and just empiricism.
Yeah, it's definitely subjective, but whether something is scientific in any capacity at all, I don't think is subjective.
Yeah, and also
we've been talking a lot about how we view science, how we view social sciences, but we have a social science homeroom AP Rant on Wednesday, which is in 2 days, same time, same place, except maybe it's just a slightly different link. But I mean, let's do what you guys came here to do. So what problems do you have with your AP exams? What went well? What went wrong? I mean, what do you guys want to talk about? You came here for some reason because the title interested you. Dylan promoted it last night at the closing ceremonies. So what do you guys want to talk about? I know a ton of people had problems with submissions.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah,
I didn't have problems. Go ahead.
I didn't have problems, but a bunch of my friends did, and they have to retake. They have to retake it in June. Especially if you take pictures. Like, I feel bad for all the people who took pictures because I copy paste. I had to copy paste mine just in case.
Yeah, I was terrified that my pictures for AP Chem weren't going to work because I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to type out all this math stuff because I'm not good at trying to type math. Just doesn't work for me. So I was worried that I wasn't going to have time to upload, and I was down to like a minute left, and my phone was still trying to get those pictures to my computer so I could upload them, and I was like, this is not going to work, and if this doesn't work, I'm just going to stop. It's not worth it. But I was really lucky to have it work.
Do you guys believe Trevor Packer when he says that 99% of students successfully uploaded their AP exams?
I want to know the parameters for successful because I saw that data sheet in student chat the other day, and it was like, so this is how many did this, and then this, and then this, and it didn't even add up to 99%. And I was like, so does successful mean you started it, that you were able to log in, or that you completed every single part of the question? Or like got everything submitted for each question part?
Yeah, so the College Board published a much bigger PDF with about 5 subsets of started the exam, didn't submit it, had issues submitting, submitted a retake request. Like, they have all of that data published on their website in a PDF. And the numbers, it's weird because you could say that he's counting people who started it, people who didn't start it, you know. It was weird. And you also start with, like, not 100% of people actually entered the exam because there will still be people who don't enter the exam. Even if the number is like 99.5 and it rounds up to 100, like, you still have, you're having a percentage of 100. So it's not all true, and it's all relative for each subject. So, you know, you kind of just have to take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, they're a corporation. They've got to make money somehow and back up their data. Like, I mean, using the numbers in that way is to benefit them and make people be like, oh, well, this wasn't as bad as everyone's saying. We're still a trustworthy company, when really more people had problems than is displayed sometimes.
I want to bring up the stupid hypothesis test that someone did on Twitter that proved they were lying. Like, that was really irritating to me because that proved people really don't learn what they should be learning in AP stats. Because like, come on, like, you can't do that hypothesis test confidently when you're taking a sample from Twitter and volunteers. Yeah, there's volunteering bias. There's whole, like, you're taking a sample from Twitter, and the people on Twitter that didn't submit their exams are louder than the ones that did. Yeah. And, like, come on, like, dude, like, and the fact that so many people bought that, it's like, did you really even look at the tests? Like, and that's like the first, like, condition of a hypothesis test is that your samples, like,
it's not independent. It's not random.
Whatever. It's fine. I hate when Twitter gets in a hive mind and they complain about everything.
Okay, but honestly, that's kind of what Twitter's for. So if you go there, you kind of...
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
Twitter's just your rant.
Yeah. Did you guys at least think that you did well on your exams? But first, if we answer that question, did you actually study and try? And then did you do it? The answer to both of those questions should be yes.
Yes. I crammed for 2 weeks for each subject. Like, I didn't have a life outside of AP exams. No one saw me. I stayed in my room, and they were like, are you good? And I'm like, I think I'm good, but I'm also not studying while I'm talking to you, so let me get back to this. Because I took 4 AP exams this year, which is not a lot to some people, and it is a lot to other people, not opening that door for a debate, but it was a lot for me personally, because I've only ever taken 1 at a time.
Yeah, I've also only taken 4 this year, which is also a solid amount as well. And the only STEM one I took was the only one I took for STEM was computer science A, and I don't know if there's any of my computer science A people in here, and computer science people in here.
No, I don't talk to people that know Java.
Wow. Okay, Python is a superior coding language.
No,
Python is a-
I'm glad you agree with that. I'm glad you because Java sucks. I hate Java. I love Python and I love MATLAB. I know it's controversial, but yeah, I hate Java.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I honestly,
so it's kind of been, all of us up here for a while. Does anybody else want to come on screen, talk, say that they had an awful time with your exam? I had a fine time submitting it, but there was like 2 questions that I didn't know the answer to. Does anybody want to come up here and talk before we end? I mean, I think it's okay if we go a little bit over.
yeah.
I don't care. I've got nothing to do.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will yell at us for going over. We're the only stream today, so we can just. It's just freely. We're done with AP season,
Finally.
Anybody? I've seen a lot of you guys be active in the chat. Victor, Bull, COVID, Tanya, Samantha, Tygus, Krish. Does anybody want to come talk?
Yeah. Another hour, please.
I'm not doing this for an hour. I'll probably be like a half an hour at most.
I don't think Crowdcast will go for an hour and a half with no schedule.
I'm so hungry.
Crowdcast will kick you off after. I mean, at least last year, I know Crowdcast kicks you off after 2 hours. I don't know if they updated that since I haven't streamed since so long.
Okay.
No one says they want to get on.
Yeah, no one wants to volunteer as tribute.
Oh, Tanya said she'll come.
Tanya.
Victor also. All right, we got 2 people.
I'll drop off. Bye, guys.
Thanks for
Bye,
coming
all.
Yeah, thanks.
See you, Lisa. See you, Harrison.
Okay.
All right, Victor and Tanya.
Okay.
Victor, you can accept it whenever you're ready. So you'll get a request, and then you can accept it whenever you're ready to get on.
And then I just invited them, so
Cool.
Yeah, I'm streaming on the phone because my computer is just it's just horrible when being on Crowdcast for some reason.
Hi.
Hey, Tanya.
Yeah,
Hello.
so my laptop would not load my files, like my photos. It said like you have no files from today for the second part of the submission, and it lost my first part files, lost my second part files, it lost my practice files, and I had 30 seconds on the clock.
Ugh.
And I emailed them, so I didn't have time to like switch back to my email, which I'd already X'd out, and then go download them again. No, actually there was an email option. So I emailed them, and when I opened up my email again to like go and email it, it all loaded in like 5 seconds. So it was just on the website.
I know 5 grams sessions for and if you're asking for 5 grams for retakes, I think retakes are next week. Someone correct me if that's wrong.
June 1st to June 5th.
Yeah, June.
Yeah, I'm not retaking it. If it didn't go in, I'll just take my score. And I think it did go in because it said less than 10. You have less than 10 minutes, basically. Like you have 10 minutes, and if you go over, then it won't go in. And I got it in 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think.
And then I know it's JPEGs.
Yeah, I think if you turn it in within just 10 minutes, you are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I feel so bad for people in week 1 that weren't able to turn in
Does it work?
Things by email. Yeah.
Yeah, you heard Victor.
Hi guys.
Hey, Victor.
Wait, what were we talking about right now? I was like trying to set it up.
Just a bunch
Submissions.
Submissions, basically.
Let me tell you about that. So I have to retake the calc test because I was submitting in the 5-minute mark. I was. And like it was literally my last picture. I did every single part, all A through J. I felt confident about everything. I feel like I got a 5 on that. And then FEL, the power company, on the day of the test, the power company decides to do maintenance just in my neighborhood. Just in my neighborhood. So like my friend that lived like on the other street, he was taking the test and he was like, "Oh yeah, it went well." And me, just like me, couldn't turn in my test because the pictures just weren't working.
That's so rude. I know a bunch of I know a good friend of mine whose neighbors basically decided it was the perfect time to like replace their front sidewalks. So like all they heard was just like drilling noises, and like their power almost cut off as well. So like, they were just like drilling during the AP test. So like their ground was like vibrating. So
like my friend, I don't know how she did it, but like she somehow works well with like loud music because her like neighbors decided to like mow the lawn like while she was taking the test. Like
I can do that, but I didn't want to risk it because I was like, what if something goes wrong? What if I just like waste, like the connection?
Oh yeah. Like
I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people wanted to like that was like their backup plan to like disconnect the internet if something went wrong.
My mom dropped a pot in the submission time, and I started freaking out. Like she just dropped a bunch of pots. It was like a loud clatter.
Overall, I took 5 AP tests, and overall they went well. Like the submissions were all right. It was just calc. Everything else I think was all right. How do you guys feel? Like, how would you review the submission? Like, out of 10?
I think if I don't get a 5, it was probably because they lost the second half of my exam.
That happened to a lot of people. The second, it was a picture, right? Was it the picture?
It was, yeah, for apes I did a picture.
Yeah, the picture was like trouble for like so many people.
I learned my lesson, and then for WAP I did copy paste, and so there was no problems with WAP. But with apes, I was like literally almost crying.
No, yeah, it was just. You said it was pictures. Yeah, it was just the pictures because the copy and paste was like really. It was really nice. Like,
yeah.
It was really,
And I think attach a file was also like okay. Like it didn't have many issues. Or am I wrong about that?
Like copy and paste. Yeah, I personally didn't have any issues with it.
No, with attach a file, like not attach a picture, but just like the files, like a Word document.
I didn't do that. I never had them.
I think I know someone who did that, and they said it was fine.
Okay, so it was just taking pictures.
Yeah, and also I had to rotate my pictures before I emailed them to myself, and so now one of my pictures are sideways.
Yeah, it was the emailing that wasn't working for me with my calc test. That's why I have to retake it now.
I didn't sign up to take a retest, so if they don't have my like second half of the submission, I probably didn't.
Wait. Oh man, it closed already. I was about to say like they reopened it again. You didn't like they could. They reopened it yesterday.
I got it in 6 minutes. I emailed it.
Okay.
And it is JPEG. It was 2 megabytes. Like they were small pictures. So there's gonna be like.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just like there should be no reason for them to not get it. But if they lost my email, I'm gonna be so freaking mad.
You like after you finish the test, like, oh yeah, we didn't receive your file if it didn't go through.
That's the thing. I got the reply email saying that they received my email, so obviously they got it.
Yeah,
I saved that email, so if they don't like send me back a grade for the second half of the submission, I'm gonna like forward them that email. Like obviously you got it.
Yeah, like it's so like it feels like so rushed, like how College Board just did all this as well. Like I just don't like how it basically seems like messy and unprofessional in a way. Like how they just like made this like it feels like last minute with like a bunch of errors for students. And one part of that I hate was like how they did it, accept like the iPhone format for like the pictures, and then they only waited until the last minute to clarify it, and then like a bunch of my friends didn't know that, and then they got screwed over.
Yeah. The email thing would have definitely been very useful when like especially for like calc and the other math ones, the ones that had a lot of problems with pictures. That email backup thing would have been really useful. Have you guys been checking the chat, by the way?
No, yeah. I'm not gonna entertain the argument.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys were talking about CSA, by the way. How'd that go for you guys? I thought it was really cool. Like,
Yeah,
the
for
questions
me,
were good.
yeah, that's me. I took CSA, and honestly, I like the idea of the open-ended question, and it basically it also tests you like on your programming technique as like your
Mhm.
like the process of like programming as well.
Yeah,
Instead of,
I
like,
feel like if you did the practice ones on YouTube on the College Board YouTube channel, you like it went smoothly.
yeah, I basically crammed through the college board ones the night before just so I could practice.
Yeah. Which one did you guys get? Are we allowed to talk about that? Like, which questions you guys got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as like it was 50, the college board was like, yeah, 50 minutes after the exam ended, you're good to talk
Yeah,
about it.
50 minutes after exam and you can speak.
Okay, so which questions did you get? Because I got the array list with like babysitters.
I got an array list with like with like app development, and on like phone apps, and basically I sort of felt attacked on that because like it's like so like my part B was basically you have too many apps on your phone, you have to decide which ones to remove. And I was like,
Oh, so it was like using the remove command.
it's basically like a function that basically tells you how many times the app has been used, and then you have to use that to decide how to remove. And I know my good boy Jacob has to be somewhere in 5 minutes. So
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool how this time we could like type it instead of I just used the compiler to like type it in and then just like pasted it.
yeah, I used Replit for mine, which is really cool. And I think this is a good place to start wrapping up the stream. And thanks everyone for getting up here and for volunteering to share the experiences with the AP test. And tomorrow, and then do join back here to tomorrow, same place, same time. Dylan here will be talking about histories as well, and then on Wednesday we'll have social studies. On Thursday is English and capstone. On Friday is visual arts, and then on Saturday we'll end off with world languages, and then we'll also drop our latest 5-0 homeroom podcast, which is amazing. Which I've taken a look at it. It's probably one of our best episodes yet, and I just can't wait to show it with you. So have a great evening, everybody, and hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.